How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Slayer, and this is going to be my review/recap of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 16, titled The Singularity of Fate. So, we start things off by going back in time to see a glimpse of Boruto's training at the hand of Kashin Koji. We get this little flashback courtesy of Ada's Senringan, allowing her to take a peek into past events, but more on that later. So, we learn quite a few interesting things here. Koji explains to Boruto that space-time ninjutsu is a basic Otsutsuki ability, much like flight, and that he has yet to gain full control over it. However, in about 6 years' time or so, he would actually gain full mastery over it. Boruto would even take things a step further by turning the generic Otsutsuki space-time jutsu into his own variant of Flying Raijin. What's super impressive about this is the fact that Boruto had zero idea how Flying Raijin actually worked at all. Yet he was able to essentially come up with a technique that produces near identical results from scratch. That's some crazy genius level stuff from Boruto, I can't lie. Reverse engineering Flying Raijin like that from scratch is kind of insane. Anyway, Boruto's version essentially works by marking a metal object with his chakra, which he can then sense and teleport to the marked location. Still, he did face an issue if there's two faraway objects marked simultaneously. He pretty much wouldn't know where he'd end up after teleporting, so to solve this problem he came up with the idea of using special shapes and symbols to more easily distinguish his faraway targets. Of course, he still needs to concentrate more when he's doing long distance teleportation, but at least he won't end up teleporting somewhere he doesn't want to. Honestly, I'm sure Boruto's mastery over his Flying Raijin variant and space-time ninjutsu in general will improve with time, but for now, his development is honestly super impressive. It goes to show how insane it is to have a teacher with knowledge of the future speeding up the process, especially when you're already a prodigy. Speaking of which, Boruto asks Koji why they can't just reveal all the details of the future to their allies in order to have them help them out. Koji basically says that knowing the future inherently means changing it. Him and Boruto knowing the future basically makes them heretical existences that don't conform to fate conventionally. They've become what is known as a singularity of fate. Their job isn't necessarily to help people change their futures, but to subtly guide them towards the best possible future from the shadows, which wouldn't be possible if they let everyone in on their full knowledge of everything that may happen. Interestingly, Koji knew that Ada would be watching them sooner or later, which he pointed out makes her a singularity as well. Honestly, this first half of the chapter was really good, man. We got a lot of needed context to shed light on Boruto's actions during the past 15 chapters, which is super cool. All those instances where Boruto was super vague or withheld information from his friends make perfect sense now. Koji and Boruto aren't necessarily trying to change the future that's set in stone. They're attempting to guide the world toward the best possible future out of a set of innumerable potential outcomes that Koji has foreseen with prescience. Pretty cool stuff, I gotta say. Also, it's quite interesting to know that prescience doesn't necessarily reveal to you which future will come to pass. Rather, it shows you a whole bunch of possible futures that may or may not happen, and you kinda have to use that knowledge as a sort of predictive model to sort through all the bad possibilities and guide people towards the best possible future. It feels very similar to how Doctor Strange's use of the Time Stone in Infinity War worked, to be honest. Again, cool stuff. In the next section of the chapter, we have Sarada and Sumire arguing over Boruto with Ada and Damon watching from the sidelines. Honestly, this part had a lot of bait for shippers, it felt like, and I'm not sure what to make of it yet. Sumire was angry that Sarada didn't consider Boruto's feelings and how much his isolation is causing him pain. She was also upset that Sarada jumped into Boruto's arms even though she knew Sumire had a massive crush on Boruto. So it's kind of looking like we might have a little love triangle situation going on here. And this chapter also gave us a lot of fuel for Sumire being a prime candidate to become a Shinju in my opinion. Assuming we get more Shinju, that is. And I can see it, to be honest. Obviously her target would be Boruto if that's the case, which would be interesting, I guess. Also, bruh, Ada's fucking hilarious, man. God bless her silly heart. Man. Oh, and these crusty-ass geezers showed up again and promised that Daimao Boruto's head. Yeah, sure, guys. Your geriatric ass will capture and kill Boruto. Sure. Man, shut your bitch ass up. I can't stand these guys. Anyway, moving on. Ada and Shikamaru have a little face-to-face, and she basically brings them up to speed on what we learned last chapter. There's a new Shinju named Ryu, he's based on Shinki, his target is Gaara, he can undo Shinki's seal, yada yada yada. Ada reveals something interesting though. She tells Shikamaru that she can't peep in on Shinju in real time because of Bug being able to see her. So yeah, she's terrified of Bug. Just another reason why he's my GOAT. But not for real. This is kind of interesting because it's heavily implied that the ability to detect Ada's consciousness when she's using the Senringan is exclusive to Bug. I was honestly under the impression that it was like something all the Shinju could do, but it's starting to look like that may not be the case. Anyway, this makes me hella excited for the inevitable Bug vs. Ada and Damon battle. Ada seems really spooked by him, and rightfully so the actual fighting will probably be falling to Damon here. So yeah, that's kinda exciting. Oh, also, Ada knows that Shikamaru is helping Boruto, and he's the reason he was able to escape. But she assures him that she has no intention of ratting him out because she doesn't want to get in Boruto's way and give him trouble. Shikamaru then asks her if she knows who his accomplice is, and he assumes it's likely Kashin Koji, which Koji then immediately confirms as one of his toads pops out of Ada's hair. Koji tells them that he'll reveal some intel to them, but they shouldn't ask him about it at all. No questions, basically. He tells Shikamaru to deploy Team 7 to the Sand Village. Basically, he tells Shikamaru to have Konohamaru, Sarada, and Mitsuki team up with 2 Sand Shinobi to slay Ryu and Matsuri, which is honestly kind of insane. Team 7 apparently just being Jigen level now is kind of absurd, but oh well, this type of escalation is just par for the course with Boruto at this point, for better or worse. Anyway, he also tells Shika that Himawari shouldn't be allowed to step outside Konoha or else Jura would go get her. No diddy. He also tells him that Jura appreciates Konoha's culture and is very unlikely to do battle within Konoha itself unless he's provoked. He even tells him to have people treat him like a regular customer if he shows up at the library. Man, I'm not gonna lie, Jura is my favorite Boruto antagonist and it's not even close. He's the right balance of goofy and menacing and I love it. His characterization, lore, and motives are just super fun to watch. And of course, we get some more Jura glazing in the form of Koji saying that if they provoke him, there will be a 0% chance that they can defeat him, which was great to hear. I mean, Jura got a lot of hype statements in the past few chapters, but this one was just super definitive and honestly might be the best hype statement we've ever had in this series, period. Only one who kinda comes close is Ishiki, I suppose. As for who's stronger between Jura and Ishiki, Jura's still out on that one, to be honest. It's kinda vague, but I would not be surprised if Jura turns out to be stronger, not one bit. Koji then thanks Shikamaru for helping Boruto out and tells him that he should keep following his heart and instincts in order to achieve a good future. Then we get a classic Shikamaru line to close out the scene. Unk has clearly had enough of all this alien nonsense. Can't blame him there. Then we jump over to Team 7 in the Land of Wind with Sarada looking especially fabulous for absolutely no reason. Then they run into Yodo and Araya, you know, from the Chunin exam arc from way back when. We then get a classic Viz Media blunder, because apparently Yoda wasn't asking Sarada if she's into a guy. She was just inquiring about her more masculine choice of attire, which of course we know is meant to be a sort of tribute to Boruto. So yeah, I thought the Viz line was super awkward and kind of cringy to be honest, but thankfully that's not actually what was being said here. Anyway, they finally spot Ryu and Matsuri, and we get hit with one of the most major and painful deaths in the series' history. Oh man, so sad. But yeah, they are into the Shinju duo, and I guess next chapter will be getting that fight. I think it goes without saying how they'll split up to take the Shinju. Sarada and Mitsuki will probably take on Ryu due to their unfinished business with Shinki from the Chunin exams. It just makes sense in my opinion. Konohamaru and the Sand Ninja will probably take on Matsuri due to Konohamaru's connection to Mogi and what have you. Should be a fun little fight, even if it's a bit hard to believe that friggin' Konohamaru's some Jigen level fighter now, but whatever. I'm really hoping we get a glimpse of Sarada's Mangekyo Sharingan ability soon. My prediction is that next month's cliffhanger will be her activating her Mangekyo Sharingan and that we'll actually get to see her abilities the following month. I'm also thinking we'll finally get that Kawaki Amado confrontation we've been waiting to see, so that should be very interesting. Overall, this was a great chapter in my opinion. It had basically zero action. It's what many would refer to as a yap session, a yapter, if you will. If that's something that bothers you, then it is what it is, but for me personally, these are the chapters I usually like the most in Boruto, I cannot lie. We got a lot of cool lore reveals, some interesting setup for upcoming battles and character interactions, and it was just a surprisingly rich chapter, all things considered. I was entertained throughout, even though there's a few things I'm not too sold on just yet, such as the love triangle that being set up here and the insane power escalation of Team 7, but for the most part I was a happy camper. I can't believe we gotta wait another month to see what happens next, man. It's actually fucking painful at this point, but hey, what can you do? I've complained about the pacing enough already. Overall, I give Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 16 a solid, let's say 8.8 out of 10. It was really good in my opinion. Yeah, that's about all I've got to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing as that helps me out a lot. And drop your thoughts on the chapter down below. Did you like it as much as I did? What do you guys think will come next? Please, I'd love to hear from you. With that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Slayer out.
Bye bye!